The determination of bail and various other matters often take part before trial even begins in a variety of pretrial processes whose main function is also to screen cases out of the system. Let's take a look again at the criminal justice chart from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And let's zoom in specifically on this area in dark blue. Before the trial even begins, there is a series of things that happens, starting with the prosecutor's decision whether to charge the case and continuing with a preliminary hearing before a judge and/or the decision of the grand jury to follow an indictment. While all of these processes also do a variety of other things pertaining to trial, their most important function is to examine cases and make sure that cases where the evidence is not sufficient or where there are bound to be other problems get thrown out of the case pipeline. This is a very crime control mechanism. The development of these case screening mechanisms follows the general pattern that we talked about when we discussed Packer's two models. When reading cases from the 60s, we're going to notice that the due process model introduced a lot of trial protections for defendants. One of the ways to erode the protections at trial is to stop cases from getting to trial in the first place. And this is the post-Warren Court move. We're going to see later decisions from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and onward reducing the importance of trials by bolstering pretrial discretion, especially by prosecutors. Why would the post-Warren Court do that? Well, the most important screening mechanism is prosecutorial discretion. As we're going to find out, prosecutors control not only the question whether charges will be brought, but also the question of what kind of charges will be brought and what kind of punishment is going to result from that. This is a consequence of our determinate sentencing system. Because of that, the post-Warren Court highlights prosecutorial discretion as incredibly important, fully knowing that in most cases in which prosecutors make the decision to pursue criminal charges, the end result will be a conviction via a plea bargain. This has been the topic of many books and much public discourse in the last few years, and we will now turn to discuss it in greater detail.